In so many ways, man, Howard saved me. I love it.
That's right.
I'll talk about Howard amongst family, but outside of that, I will
It
not.
just make you strong.
Yes.
There you go.
Howard made us strong.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. It made me patient, for sure.
Through our experiences, through our choice to be understanding and to learn together, we built and decided that we would be family. Mm-hmm. And we're choosing to have lifelong friendship as a result of that choice.
Applied for Howard, man, but like I said, prior to it, I was stuck, man. Lost myself for a bit. Lost my identity, if you will. Howard, man, it made me gain all that back. My strength, identity, courage, that pride again.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Symbiosis. Whether you're joining us for the very first time or you've been with us since episode 1, we're really glad you're here. Over the last few conversations, we've been asking some pretty fundamental questions. In our very first episode, we introduced ourselves and asked, who are we? Then in episode 2, we started asking a different question. What is symbiosis? We discovered that it wasn't just a podcast. It wasn't simply 3 friends catching up after graduate school. It became something much bigger. An invitation to stay in relationship, to remain curious, to choose conversation over assumptions, to believe that people can grow together, even when they don't always agree. As I've been reflecting on those conversations, I realized something. None of us become who we are by ourselves. Every single one of us can probably point to people, places, experiences, communities that quietly change the trajectory of our lives. And sometimes we don't even realize it until years later. Tonight's conversation is about one of those experiences. Not because all of us walked away believing the exact same things, but because every one of us walked away different. And I think that's fascinating. We all went through the same graduate program. We shared professors, assignments, late nights, moments of uncertainty, moments of celebration. But if you asked each one of us to tell that story, I don't think you'd hear the same story 7 times. And somehow, every one of them would be true. That's what tonight's about. Not proving that we all had the same experience, but exploring what happens when people share a journey and each person is changed in their own way. So tonight, we are honored to welcome several members of our Howard family. Starting off, we have Professor Dantalisha Deans, MSW. We have Brandi Pittman, LCSWA, Cal Sigmon, LCSWA, and Breyona Johnson, LMSW. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're really grateful to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Definitely our pleasure. Let's begin the way we always do, because before we talk about graduate school, before we talk about careers, before we talk about social work, let's just check in with each other. Let's do what we've done since the very beginning. One thing we've learned through this podcast is that who we are today isn't always who we expected we'd become. Sometimes life surprises us. Sometimes we surprise ourselves. So I want to ask each of you something. What's one thing about the person you've become that the version of you who started Howard never would have predicted? I'll repeat it. What's one thing about the person that you've become that the version of you who started Howard never would have predicted? Take your time. Professor Deans, being that you are not a student, would you mind getting us started?
I don't mind at all. First of all, thank you all so much for having me. Can I say how proud I am? Is that all right? Can I say that? That's all right. I am deeply proud of each of you. Genuinely just grateful to be a part. You talk about, Anthony, our journeys, and what do I always say for those who have taken me? Thank you so much for allowing me to have been a part of your learning journeys. And I want you to know that even as a professor, I have learned so much. I have learned so much on this journey as well. And a huge part of that has been becoming. right? Becoming a different version of myself. And I would say for me, as a professor coming into this, first of all, delighted to be a professor at the Howard University.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And being able to pour into students, and who will one day make an impact like all of you, especially as it pertains to our field and social work. But coming into this, life was very different. When I first started teaching, we were very much in COVID. Life was just different in how we were moving and managing things. And so, starting out with the very first cohort of the Starship program, I tell students all the time, when you're at the beginning of a thing, when you're building something, yes, there's a lot that's going to go on. You might have some growing pains, if you will. And I'm just grateful that even as the program has grown, I've seen myself grow as a professor, as an individual, as a mother, and so I think you all as students have been a part of that growth, right? I have gained more confidence in my ability to teach. You all make me feel so welcome when you engage with me and allow me to be a part truly of your learning journey. When I say that, I'm not just being cute, I mean it. Because again, it's never me just pouring into or speaking or just talking to folks. I'm learning from you all too. So I would just say, even from the beginning to now, I have gained so much confidence in my experience and as a teacher and someone who's able to help pour into the growth of others.
Beautiful.
Thank you. How about you, Brandi?
I knew you was gonna say me, but that's okay.
Talking about, I was going to choose you.
Okay, first and foremost, honestly, I did not predict that me and Steven would get along. If I'm just being honest, that was rough. But whew, to growth, I think I have grown a lot since the beginning of starting Howard, and with us being the online cohort, I didn't expect nor predict that we would create this community amongst each other. Seeing that we're basically all over the world, we have really built a solid community, and I lean on you all more than I thought I would, right? Especially, like all of us, we very independent. We don't lean on or talk to our emotions about anybody. And having you all has made a world of difference for me. I lean on Steven all the time, Breyona, Denzel. I can reach out and they reach back. They're there for me and they know it's the same when it comes to them. So I do think that's one of the most valuable things I have gotten from Howard is the sense of community amongst my peers.
How about you, Kyle?
Well, goodness, there's so much I could say about that. First of all, for the listeners, I'm Kyle. I live in the mountains of North Carolina. I am a father of 5. I am a Howard grad. I also went to seminary. I'm ordained in the United Methodist Church, and I'm a musician. And I like to play reggae music these days. And one of the songs I wrote over the past year or so is called "Be Yourself." And one of the lines in that is that we are a river that keeps flowing and keeps changing real fast. And I've found that to be so true, that it's like, in the same way that you can't step in the same river twice, every time you get together with a friend, there's something new, there's something changing, there's something going on. We're always kind of evolving and changing. And I think that's it's real interesting when we think about identity and like what parts of us stay the same and which parts are always changing. And I feel like over this past year, I've experienced a whole lot of change, a whole lot of heartbreak, a whole lot of joy. It's actually felt like being stretched in both directions. Like since graduating Howard, I've never felt such difficult feelings and such happiness and joy and bliss and gratitude. And it almost shows me like you actually can't really have one without the other. You don't know, true joy until you've really spent some dark days and some dark moments. So and then after it all, I can have gratitude for all of it. So I'd love to, I can share more about my story later, but I've experienced a lot of change recently, and yet I'm the same child of God I've always been. And I can take so much confidence in knowing that my true identity is who God sees me as and who God made me as. Mm. And so that right there is that gets me through a lot of dark times.
Awesome, Kyle. Thank you. Breyona.
Yes, awesome. Well, similar to Kyle and Brandi, what the main thing that I got out of my Howard experience, and it's crazy because I was literally just talking about this with my therapist yesterday, is the confidence to really show up as myself. And I think the community that I have with you all, it's very different from how I felt growing up, where, sometimes I felt like I had to show up as somebody different in certain spaces. Even now, maybe in a professional setting or different spaces that I may be in where I'm like, kind of have to do this differently or have to say this differently. But being, in a community or space where we have professors who look like us and who just get it, like, who may go off topic, from the syllabus, like, hey, like, this is what's going on in the world, let's talk about it. Or to have, classmates in our cohort like, hey, like, you okay? I know you're kind of quiet tonight. You usually always talk. Or even like, what Brandi said, like, we check on each other very often. And that's been a phenomenal experience to have and so appreciative to have that. But just feeling like I can just show up as me. I don't have to be happy all the time. I don't have to be bubbly. I don't have to be this person that's like, yes, we're all well educated, but we can just show up and be like, you know what, like, give a shit today. Like, that's okay. So that's the main thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel some very similar thoughts about it as well, but I think we probably all do. I'm going to jump to the fellas though. What's going on, my brothers? Good to see y'all this week. Side note, I want to make sure that I acknowledge the fact that since this is the first time that we're actually having this many guests on our show, especially a professor, we are not speaking for Howard. We are not representing. And as a professor, maybe you want to mention that.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Yes, so excited to be here. When I say that, I mean it. However, yes, I am not here tonight as a representative of Howard. I am truly here as Dantalisha Deans. And so anything that I say is just from my own lived experience. And so I think that's important to just put that out there. I appreciate you allowing me to say that. Yeah, not here representing or speaking on behalf of the university, but can speak to my lived experience as a professor. Is that all right?
Because we talk about Howard so much. It's just so much about, it's so much in our DNA. So, we've never really acknowledged the fact that we're not representing Howard per se, but Howard is in us. So it comes up. But Stephen, you want to answer the question, sir?
I don't know if I have the words to describe what I've gone through since matriculating through Howard University. The sense of community that everyone talks about is definitely there. I like to call it family because that's how I look at you guys. I call you guys more than some people in my family. So you're definitely, on my priority list. I would say that I wouldn't say necessarily I surprised myself, but I have introduced myself to myself. And I've said that before. I have been an actor for the majority of my life and trying to be a chameleon in the rooms that I go into. But Howard has given me a sense of it's okay to figure out who you are and be that person. My confidence has risen since I've been through the program. My self-esteem has gone through. I've told the guys before that when you see me, I laugh, I joke, I play. I seem to be very confident in myself. I actually had my wife fooled at one point because she was like, who are you? When she seen my true self, when I take off all of those veils and costumes that I wear. But I can truly say that I'm getting to know myself, and I'm proud of who I'm seeing. And I'm just so excited that I have other people who have gone through this experience with me and shown me love and allowed me to figure out who I am in the process without judging me. So that is the the greatest gift that everyone has given to me.
Denzel, how about you?
I don't purposely mean to echo everybody, but I certainly feel like what everyone else has already said. My confidence, the sense of community that Howard has given me, it is just unmatched. You know, my wife and I, we took a trip to DC prior to me starting the program, and we walked we walked the campus of Howard. And for some reason, I just felt at home even before starting the program. It still didn't prepare me for the sense of community that I gained from entering the program, from finishing the program. Like each of you have said, man, the way we show up for one another, it is just unmatched. The confidence that I have now, I mean, the things that I've done since graduation, there's no way I would have done some of these things had it not been for me going into the Howard program. But it's given me that confidence. It's given me that self-esteem. I'm just so thankful, man, for what Howard has done for me, for the community it has provided me. God is good. Um, my wife and I, we like I said, we walked the campus, and we really took our time at looking at different programs. I wanted to find the right program, the right fit. But God knew exactly what He was doing when He led me to Howard. And Howard sets you apart, and that's where that confidence comes in. When I tell folks I am a Howard prepared social worker, I feel set apart. I am a Howard prepared social worker.
Cool. For me, when I started Howard, I thought I knew exactly why I was there. I had a theater degree, as many of you all know. I had a theater degree and psychology minor, and I was convinced I was simply trying to figure out the best pathway towards becoming a drama therapist. And in my mind, that was the plan. What I never expected was that Howard wouldn't just change what I wanted to do, it would reveal who I had always been. Looking back now, I realized that helping people was never plan B. It wasn't a career choice I stumbled into. It was part of me long before I had the title for it. Somehow, over the course of this journey, I stopped chasing that identity and just started recognizing my identity. I don't think that the Anthony who logged into the first Zoom class had any idea that social work wasn't going to give him a new purpose. It was going to uncover the purpose that had been there the whole time. That's how I feel like Anthony who started compares to Anthony who is now. Thank you, everybody. I think what has already struck me with this conversation is that we all started in like a similar place, right? But we're describing 7 completely different journeys. And I have a feeling that that's exactly where this conversation tonight's going to go. And one of the things that I love about stories is that most of us meet people somewhere in the middle. We see who they are today and naturally assume that they've always been that person. But that's never really true. Long before any of us met, before Howard, before social work, before this conversation, every one of us had already lived an entire life, right? Different cities, different families, different careers, different fears, different dreams. So before we talk about what brought us together, I'd actually like to go back for a minute. And Brandi, since you think I pick on you, tell me this. Who were you before Howard? Before you actually started the program? Not your resume, not where you work, not your accomplishments, but who were you becoming before you actually decided that you were going to submit your application?
Hmm. I was a hot mess, honey. No, seriously, like I was going through a depression and I was looking for a therapist, and that process was so horrendous that I decided that I was, you know what, this is terrible. Let me go be that. We need that. Let me go do that. Right. So before all of that, I was just a girl, just a mom, just a wife, just a daughter, just trying to show up as something that I had never seen before. Right. So it's kind of different trying to become or figure things out when nobody around you is doing it. You know what I'm saying? Something you haven't seen. It's not been modeled for you. There's no blueprint. It's just, let me pray about it. Let's just hope this work out. Let me just feel my way around. Let me just see. So I think that's where I was at, just trying to figure it out. Thankfully, I had a husband to help me navigate all that. So having him and having the space to just figure out what I wanted without the extra pressure, because I had someone to pass the baton to. And I understand that a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to have someone pass the baton to. So I do appreciate that. So yeah, before Howard, I was just trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. And that's why I think it is. We're always going to have an area to grow in, right? We're never going to have it all figured out. But I feel now I am more comfortable with it. Whereas before, I was just looking for the answers. Okay, well, why is it this? Or why am I doing that? When now it's just okay to be just me. It's okay not to have all the answers. And it's okay to just flow. Uh, It's going to be what it's going to be. And whatever is meant for me, I'm going to always have. Everything doesn't always work out the way I want it to. And I understand that sometimes it's for my protection because I don't see it all. But I know God will never fail me because He hasn't this far. So just figuring it out. That's where I was before Howard, figuring it out, and I still am. But I have more confidence in doing that.
What stands out is that you saw the whole and determined that you were going to fill it.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. And like you said, you didn't have it figured out before, and you don't have it figured out now,
Mm-hmm.
but you are in the gap. You're standing in the gap. So that's amazing. Breyona?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I'm the youngest one in the group. So who I was
Nope.
before Howard, very much not the head nods, yes. Um, man, before Howard, oof, yeah. So young, still trying to figure it out. But being on my own, I've been on my own for a very long time. And like similar to what Brandi said, not having a blueprint, not knowing how certain things should go, making a lot of mistakes that if somebody just told me, I would have chosen to bypass certain things. But the lesson is in the journey, and I'm really grateful for that. But oof, the Breyona before Howard, oof. I look back at her and I'm like, girl, you made it, you survived, and you're still surviving. Even when it felt like, oh my God, only you. Like, I don't know how some don't believe in God because there has to be someone getting me through. And y'all can get me to shouting up in here because that's how good he has been to me. Like, just really, like, even when I think about like my past, I would say probably like year and a half, I'm like, oof. Like, if I didn't learn the things that I learned, if I didn't like have you all, for example, holding me up at times, I don't know where I would be. So yeah.
I feel like I showed up at Howard with way more questions than answers. I just knew I was hungry to learn. I had been doing church ministry for like 20 years, mostly doing music, but also youth and small groups and adult ministry, and I loved it. But I read a book talking about Carl Jung's life, and I kind of resonated a lot with his journey of like seeing how we can do better, like we can do more, like there's we can heal people better. There's more to learn, and I was even just searching for that in my own life. Just a little bit of restlessness, a little bit of trying to figure things out, right? Like so I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah, like that's part of it. I went into Howard, kept hearing everybody when they were sharing one of our first times together. A lot of folks were saying they wanted to work with kids. And I was like, I don't know why y'all want to work with kids, you know. But then I ended up my internship was this group in Baltimore that was a youth alternative. Basically, it was formed to help folks have some positive thing to do rather than to be in a gang. It was focused on the youth. And my mentor there, I remember, I'll never forget, Dante Wilson. He said, I hear you saying that you're not sure you want to work with kids, but let me just tell you, whoever you work with, however old they are, you're going to be talking about their childhood. How great is it to be there at that time and see a life trajectory change versus trying to back up and go and reclaim.
That's good.
Right. So then I ended up working with foster children at Cross North Communities for Children. And these kids were such teachers for me, right? Because I was learning how the way you work with kids is you're on the floor and you're playing, you know, what it brought me back to was like, I needed to get in touch with my inner child. You know, the little Kyle in me that's still there, he wants to play sometimes, you know. So you know, it's been such a surprising journey of how life really does want to just keep going. I do want to keep learning, but I also want to go back and just have fun sometimes.
Denzel?
Before Howard, I was just going with the flow. Pretty much stuck, you know, not a whole lot of vision. For so long, I was pouring into everyone else except myself. So, man, I was just going with the motion, going with the flow. I didn't know exactly what I wanted my end game to be as it relates to career. And, you know, I was working for an agency in which I enjoyed what I did, but I knew, look, this wasn't going to be it, right? So I kept putting off going back to school for social work, kept putting off. And what social work represents, I mean, that's me through and through. My desire to serve and uplift, that's me through and through. So I don't know what the holdup was with going back to school for my MSW, but that was just that was just me. You know, I was there for my wife to cheer her on. You know, go back to school, and she did it, and she did it again, and did it again. And you know, I was in her corner cheering her on, but I often have a hard time doing that for myself. You know, pouring into myself. So she got me one day, and she said, "Babe, what do you think about if I go back to school? You know, at this point in our lives, what do you think? You know, you think I have it in me? You think we can do it? Blah blah blah." I said, "What do you mean? Oh yeah, we're gonna do what we have to do so you can get through it." And so I told her that, and so she turned around and she said, "Okay, so what's the problem with you being held up and going back to school? You just told me that we're gonna do what we have to do for me to get back in school, for me to finish school, and you know you didn't give me any excuses about it's not good timing. But anytime
fixed you.
I get it back. You know, and she said, anytime I bring up the fact of you getting back in school, you know, there's all these excuses about the timing, or you know, or maybe at this point." She said, but this doesn't make any sense. You just said, I wanted to get back in school. We're going to do what we have to do.
Set you clean up.
Exactly right. She got me right on together. So, needless to say, from that point, I started looking at programs, and eventually I settled on Howard. I'm so thankful for her putting that fire in me. That's all it took, because as soon as I got into the program, I took off. So all I needed was that little push, you know. But I'm not stuck anymore. You know, I'm not lacking in confidence anymore. I know who I am, and I'm standing on who I am.
Stephen?
Who was I before Howard? I was comfortable. I was very comfortable, but I was comfortable being subpar. And what I mean by that is kind of going with the flow like everybody else say, but it was like you do enough to get by. Like I had a decent job. I could take care of my family or whatever, but there was always something there saying, you have more to give. And to be honest, Howard was a joke. I just filled out for it just to be funny. I didn't think I was gonna get accepted. So I wound up getting accepted, and when I told my wife, she got all excited. I'm like, "What you all excited for?" I mean, just school, I got all these degrees already,
I see you doing that too. I can see your face. Like, what you excited for?
What you excited for? Just school? Like, I didn't realize what Howard was. I've been to Morris Brown. That was my school. I fell in love with that school. I spent time at Morehouse, but I never had. I was never able to graduate from HBCU, and that was very important to me. So I was like, okay, so I'll go back. Let's do the social work thing. Let's see how this works. So I already had 2 other masters. I had Christian studies with pastoral care emphasis. I had, those who don't know, I am law enforcement. So I had that. Masters in law enforcement, criminal justice. But I was like, okay, so this was finally the degree that I could take to make this perfect, so to speak, Lego, make it all come together. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, law enforcement definitely needs a mental health side. Mm-hmm. That would be something I can step into, recognize things, and I can make myself valuable. On the other hand, church, okay, yeah, you're ordained, you're licensed, but many times we tell people to pray everything away, but there may be some type of chemical imbalance or something there that a professional may need to take a look at. Mm-hmm. So why not be a minister and also a professional? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I was just comfortable, but realizing that I had more to give to the world. Like I've always told that I was special, always coming up, and I never believed it. But that goes back to the confidence and self-esteem now. Now I know that I'm special. I know I have a lot to give. You see what I'm saying? You say I can say that with a little authority now. So when I step into rooms, I know I belong there. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to tell me that I don't. Like, I actually believe it now. It's different from saying, putting on the show. Yeah, I belong here. I believe it. But when you believe it, you believe it. Come on. Yeah. So that's it. With God, all things are possible. But when I added that little confidence thing too, I'm a bad boy. I'm telling you now.
The Bishop Stephen Dukes, everybody.
Right. I need a crowd screaming and clapping right there.
Amen. That's what I call him, the Bishop Stephen Dukes. Amen.
Right. Before Howard, I was finally making a decision for myself. I had spent so much of my life, kind of like what you were saying, Denzel. I had spent so much of my life pouring into other people, raising children, supporting family, building careers, helping others move forward, all kinds of different things along those lines. And that's somewhere along the way, I realized I had stopped asking what I wanted. And going back to school in my 40s, careful, Breyona. Going back to school in my 40s wasn't about proving anything. It was my way of saying it's my turn. At least that's what I thought. I thought that it was just going to be like, I'm going to take care of Jamani or Anthony, I'm sorry, and just focus on me. And so I thought I was going to choose a career. Initially, like I said, my undergrad was theater. I was finishing that, and I was choosing me. To kind of get away from living my life for everybody else. But what I didn't realize was that the very reason that I chose social work was because I had already been living the career. I just didn't have the language for it yet. My mom was a social worker. I had always been the person that people came to. I've always been trying to help, support, and connect, encourage, and all kinds of things like that. And I just never saw those things as part of my identity. And Howard did help me to realize that this wasn't something I was becoming. This is just who I was. It's just learning to live out something that I had been practicing my whole life. That's my answer in a nutshell. Professor Deans, I'm curious. You've watched so many students begin this journey. And as you listen to all these stories, what are you hearing?
Professor trying to contain herself. Number one. I'm being honest. You know how I get. It is like fireworks, the excitement that I am truly experiencing on the inside as I hear each of you. And I mean that I could probably shed tears, but I'm gonna try not to. I love this question because it really highlights the importance of discovery and curiosity on your journey and your lived experience. And not just discovery in terms of learning all the practical things about social work or all the things, but discovery about self. I've written down a couple of things that each of you, have kind of said. I like that Kyle talked about before, social work. He had somebody who said to him, you can heal people better. What I love about our program, though, is that it allows one to look at how do I heal myself so that I can heal people better. I've heard some of you talk about going to therapy and, discovering different parts of yourself and gaining more confidence, feeling like you don't have to perform anymore, right? Getting to know who you are and what you're capable of, tapping into you. And a lot of times in our profession, because it is a helping profession, we are consistently pouring into other people. We're trying to help other people get to a certain place. And I think I can go here because I feel like everybody on here is a person of faith. It seems like that's what I've observed. There's a scripture that says this: love your neighbor as you love. Can anybody finish it?
Yourself.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of times in our Christian faith or, faith walks, it's to focus on the neighbor. And that's important, right? And that's what we do in social work. We want to help our neighbors, individuals that are clients, the people that we're serving, communities. We want to help them grow and become their best selves. But a lot of times we neglect that prerequisite of as yourself. How can I love somebody else if I don't first love me?
Come on, Professor.
How can I take care of somebody else if I don't take care of me? And so it is not selfish because God, the creator, encouraged us to love ourselves the way he does.
That's it.
Yeah. And so when we do that, when we learn these things and we learn more about ourselves and we become the best versions of ourselves, it better equips us to then go out and do what we've been called to do. Does that make sense?
That
Absolutely.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And so I've seen that.
Crying out.
I'm just saying, I've seen that and heard that with each of your stories, if you will. When you talked about where you were before and where you are now and what you've discovered. I like Stephen said, listen, this is a joke. Well, if I recall, there is a scripture that said Sarah laughed too. Sarah laughed and he said, well, wait a minute, what you laughing at? I actually did say that. I actually did say yes to you going to Howard, right? And I'm about to show you a little bit about yourself because God has a sense of humor. But in that, he helps you discover you.
That's right.
He helps you discover what he put in you. Yeah. So I'm just delighted as I hear each of you share your journeys because truly it is about the discovery. It's about approaching it with curiosity. It's about not neglecting yourself along the way, but actually loving yourself so that you can do what you need to do for other folk. Is that all right? Did I answer?
That's all right. It's all right. See, this is why I had to have you come on here because if any of you, I know that a couple of you were in class with me with Professor Deans. I think that everybody who had her in the cohort basically looked at her like TT Deans type. You know what I'm saying? She so many times, like every time I took her 3 times. I don't know about y'all. I took her 3 times. I was like, I could do her that one. And every time somebody in the room said, she reminds me. Who does she remind me of? Who does? Yep. And they always, who is it?
Tabitha Brown.
Every
semester. If
but see,
not.
But I've come to embrace it as for me, I consider you the Tabitha Brown of the Howard professors. You are the TT.
That is a huge compliment, and I appreciate it and accept it.
Yeah.
Because she is wonderful. So no.
Yeah, but so are you. So are you. And you have been that consistently from day one. You were in my first semester and my last semester and one in between. So and you were those bookends that just what I needed. So
I hate to interrupt you, Anthony. I'm sorry. I regret that I did not have the pleasure of taking you, Professor. Lord,
and this is so on brand and in line with who she is. This is just what she does. This is just naturally
how the stars didn't align for me. I don't understand. I don't understand how that happened.
You know what? But look what's happening now.
Amen.
Yeah. Perfect timing. Amen. Perfect timing.
Yes, ma'am.
So funny that we're talking about that, because this is leading us into the next thing, which is talking about how our paths crossed. Yeah. And once they did, none of us have stayed quite the same. So let's talk about that a little bit. When our paths crossed. So every one of us arrived carrying different stories, different expectations, different insecurities, different hopes. And yet at some point, those individual stories became connected. Not because we suddenly became the same people, obviously not, but because we started becoming with one another. And I think that's a really important distinction. So I'm curious, when did this stop feeling like my graduate program and start feeling like our community for you?
I can't pinpoint exactly when. I wish I could, but it didn't take long at all for me. I remember those first few nights that I logged in and joined. I was quiet to myself. Didn't say a whole lot. Well, I didn't say a whole lot throughout the whole program, but I still, as the program progressed, it was like night and day. It no longer felt like, oh Lord, let me go ahead and log in. It felt like I was just going link up with some friends, and we're just having this discussion. And it wasn't just my peers, the other classmates, but it was also the professors and the space they provided for us. So it didn't take long at all. It may have been maybe mid-semester, the first semester, maybe if that.
Yeah, I can kind of piggyback off that. I think the group chat, once the group chat started popping, the group me.
I'm so mad. I never really got in the group chats. I don't know how. What? Seriously, I feel like I missed out so much.
Yes, like once everybody started joining, and we were like, "Oh yeah,
that's where it went down."
Yeah. Yes, like helping each other with assignments. I'm like, I go, okay, all right, yeah, we need this, because we were online, so I thought it was going to be like, okay, you just log in, go to class, log off. I'm not gonna think about you till next week, if that. So I think that was like the first part that I was like, okay, like this really feels more than just school or just, finishing our, degrees. The second thing that stood out to me that made me really feel at home, shout out to Professor Rouse, wherever she is. But I remember when they were sending out the people for the Honor Society, and I had invited, some folks, and, when the online ceremony came, like I didn't have anybody show up for me. And I had class after that, for agency-based placement, and I was off camera, and I'm never off camera, and Professor Ross was like, you okay? She messaged me on the side. She's like, you're always talking, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm just not really feeling it. She's like, talk to me, what's going on? I'm like, girl, you're supposed to be leading class, and we on the side messaging on Zoom. And I just kind of told her I was, feeling down about it or whatever, and she gave me some words of, encouragement, words of wisdom, and it really stuck with me. And so I saw her at a conference a couple months later, and she was on the panel for the conference, and at the end of the whole panel speaking, she's like, I have a student who's in the room, and she didn't have people, she didn't have people show up for her and give her flowers, and I just want to do that now. And I was like, I know she ain't talking about me, gotta be somebody else, because please don't put me on the spot like this. And she was talking about me, and she called me out in front of everybody and had me come up and give me my flowers. And that was like, wow. And we're all the way in Dallas. Like, this is my first time meeting her in person, had never met her in person, although she lives in Maryland. That's where I'm from, but I'm currently in the New York, New Jersey area. And we met for the first time in Dallas, and she did that. And man, I was bawling like a baby, but that meant so much to me. To have somebody see me and show up for me when people who I'm closer to didn't even do that for me, and recognize like how hard I was working. And it just seemed like a theme in my life of just like constantly feeling alone. And I think how similar to what I said earlier, how it really gave that to me, you know, feeling like I do have a family, I do have a community that is more than just class. We graduated over a year ago. It's strange to say that. Yet we are still so connected.
Very good.
Well, I can totally relate to what y'all are saying. And I can share, you know, as a white dude from the mountains of North Carolina showing up for the first time, I stand out on the Zoom calls, you know?
Oh, yes, you do, Kyle.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the
room. I'd be like, Kyle, you white? What you talking about?
It probably was. I mean, early on that first semester, I noticed some of the similar faces. We start group chatting. We start checking in. Remember, we got this coming up, you know. And then those group chats, and then the more classes I had throughout the semesters, the more group chats I had, and then they keep going, and they're still going. Yes. Like, you still get messages for every once in a while, just checking in. I absolutely love it. The professors were like, really cared about you, like really wanted to see you succeed, and worked us really, really hard. And part of that Howard preparedness is like that camaraderie of like we're all working real hard together, you know, so we can relate, you know. And so yeah, but I gotta tell you this, y'all, talking about tears, that graduation ceremony,
buddy.
Ooh.
I mean, so you know, there's a lot of reasons I chose to go to Howard. You know, when I read James Cone's book, The Cross and the Lynching Tree, I think I had like another born again experience. And when I felt like, so like you are a part of this movement, you know, the Black perspective, like you are, I was just like, oh, I was just crying, like sitting there like, oh my gosh, yes, I like, we are in this together. And it was so inspiring, and I feel like I'm still, you know, living off of that.
I definitely feel like you're a part of the experience with us, bro. So, man, definitely, you were like one of the first people that we were like, we definitely gotta have Kyle on. So, yeah, feel that and know that we feel the same. Anybody else?
I'll just say from a professor lens, I think this is beautiful, and I know for my class, we encourage that. We encourage you all to build community with one another. We understand the importance of that in your experience and in your success, right? Because we are the professors, you know what I'm saying? We gonna set the expectation. Of course, our hearts, I know for me, you know, it's really to see each of you genuinely succeed, but knowing that there's a beauty in you all supporting one another as well when we're not around. And so I just love that the group chats were forming and relationships were built, not just when it came to a group project, but really just helping, you know, lift one another up. So I know that is something that Howard School of Social Work encourages that, and I'm just so grateful that that's a part of you all's experience.
You are probably looking at I've been in a lot of group chats. I've been kicked out of them. I've been put back in them. Yeah. You know what? Y'all the reason I graduated, because let me tell you something. Unlike Denzel, I would wait till the last minute to log on to class. I was tired. I wasn't trying to go to no class. I didn't know the assignment. I didn't know what he was talking about that day. Lord have mercy, my friends took care of me. Look, Steve, did you do this? You know you were supposed to do this. And no, I ain't did nothing. Okay, well, I got that. So there are between Breyona, Denzel, Brandi, Alexis, Bahati, Shannon, Raven, Lord have mercy. That my degree should have everybody's name on it.
I was about to say.
It was that serious. Y'all should have held hands with me and walked across that stage because it was that
That's too funny.
Because I'm saying I was working all the time and I would literally drag myself to the computer. I'm taking off stuff as I'm logging on, So the sense of community, y'all held me up big time. Those group me's, they were a lot. Sometimes you got to silence them. Everybody is, I'm saying they're genuinely trying to help everybody. So, all of that was out of love. So I just want to personally say thank you to everyone that's here and everyone that's listening. If you have ever played a part in me getting an assignment done or anything, thank you so much. And I love you all.
Likewise, brother. Now, look, I want to go back to the point you made about getting kicked out of a group chat. Now, who was that kicked you out of a group chat, Steve?
I don't remember. Not to my recollection.
Gotcha.
That's
But
hilarious.
that's a good point that you made too, Stephen. Like, life was lifing for everybody. Like, grad school is so much different than undergrad because we had so many more responsibilities. We had people raising families and trying to balance marriage and careers and all the things. And I know a lot of us, were working full time and trying to finish school, and we would get on class and like, child, let's just make it through. And we did that for each other. So as much as, we showed up for you, you showed up for us, and everybody showed up for each other in whatever way we had the capacity to do so.
I just want to say one more thing. The professors were great.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely great. A lot of you know that I got sick right before we graduate. I had a big diabetes scare and I was out. But all of my professors worked with me. Professor Hardeman, Dr. Wilbon, and Lord, Dr. Wilbon. She was something else.
Yes,
she was hard on me, but I know why she did that, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But all of my professors and Professor Griggs Ross, that group therapy class,
man,
my goodness.
I
wish we still had that. I know we graduated, but that was something that I would come back to today. That was like the final nail in the coffin as far as what family is, because I was able to go there and let out some stuff that I wouldn't tell nobody. And the room was so comfortable. Everybody turned their cameras off, but you felt like you were genuinely just with those people. And that demo group, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. Anthony,
Yeah. I'm curious about something. We talk a lot about finding community, but community isn't always comfortable, right? Sometimes it's uncomfortable and sometimes it's challenging, and sometimes it's actually the people who frustrate us the most who end up helping us grow the most. Kind of like what you were just talking about, Professor Wilbon. So I'm wondering, was there a moment when you realized you were being stretched? I know you mentioned being stretched earlier, Kyle, but not just academically, but personally. Breyona, straight to you.
Yeah, so many times. Trying to think of a specific time, and I was part-time too. And I had just moved to New York right when I was starting the program, so just trying to navigate that transition, starting school, other things happening. Yeah, I felt stretched beyond. And just like trying to continue to remind myself, like, and you know what, I'll mention this too. So when I originally applied to Howard, they only had the in-person. And I was back home, and then when I got the opportunity to move to New York, I was like, dang, like I've always wanted to go to Howard, and now I'm gonna have to choose. And I came to New York, and then what do you freaking know? Like Howard's like, yep, we got an online, cohort. We're gonna be starting this. I'm like, nothing but God. But then just like trying to navigate school now that I'm older, and everything else happening out here, like I definitely felt like, okay, maybe I should put school on pause right now, or like something has to give. And I'm glad I didn't. But there were definitely moments where I was this close to just like, this is not it.
Brandi, how about you?
To piggyback off what Breyona said, Professor Jackson, as a lot of y'all know, I dealt with a lot of death throughout the program. Like 3 people died. Yes, 3 people died, and we talking about just a year and a half, 2-year time frame. And my aunt ended up coming to stay with us for a little bit for some health issues she had going on. So it was rough. But Professor Jackson told me, in a nutshell, life is gonna always life, but you still have to choose you and show up for you. And you came here, you paying for it, you want this degree, do what you got to do to get it. Right. So that's kind of what I have adapted to everything, really. Parenting, being a wife, being a therapist, all the things, because life is always gonna life, but you still have to show up for you. Right. You could take a break, you could take a moment, pause, breathe, whatever hobby you need to take on to ground yourself, but you still have to show up for you because it's still gonna keep going. We can't push pause just because it's hard. We can't push pause. What It's still gonna go. So I have been stretched, still being stretched. Didn't even know I could stretch so much. Okay, and for all the people that want to know, yes, I keep Steven out that group chat because that's on me learning how to set boundaries. So yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah. But we made
That's
it.
hilarious.
We're all one big happy family now, and as Denzel say, yeah, I'm no nonsense.
I love it. That's
Yes, yes,
She
we're
didn't know
back and we're
she didn't know
better.
she loved me.
We're back and we're better. But for real, it was rough. But Denzel always called me I don't take no nonsense. But what he never realized is that I used to be in a space where I would just pour, and I would be so depleted that I didn't even have anything to give my own kids and my husband. It's like, wait a minute, these came from me. Like, pump your brakes. So that's when I really start stepping into like my boundaries and being like, oh, I'm lying. I've never really tolerated no BS anyway, but now I feel like I do. I do it in a more. I'm able to communicate it better. Okay. Like, I feel this when this happens, you gonna have to stay over there, right? So I've always had that, but going to Howard, being able to have to deal with someone like Steven is, say no. say. I'm playing.
Kyle.
Oh, wow.
I'm so amazing.
It's good to have people that rub you the wrong way to stretch you a little bit. It's good. Well, I got a crazy story for y'all actually of this past year. So, right after that graduation weekend, that week actually, last May, my wife and I, we had been in couples therapy for 10 years off and on. That was one of my questions, right? I was trying to figure this stuff out. At this point, I was already doing child and family therapy now. And so, I'm learning about the family system and all this stuff, and we're working it out. And it basically came down to this core value of do no harm. And I realized, like, I feel like we're harming each other in this relationship. I'm feeling it. I hear you say it. And so we separated that week. And about a month later, trust was absent. Pain was high. Life sometimes just throws things at you just don't expect, right? So an email was written to 2 therapists raising a question. So a report was made. Investigations were started. At the bond hearing, I go down there, I'm booked, and then there's a bond hearing. Thankfully, my daughter's therapist had written a letter saying, I've talked to her. And then the judge said, well, if I'd known that, I never would have signed the warrant. Right. So it all went away. The arrest itself was scrubbed off the record because nothing happened. Right. So I lose my job. Right. All right. So here's the silver lining. We're talking about identity. We're talking about becoming. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you guys, I had somebody say, were you ever mad at God that your whole life just blew up? And I was like, as a matter of fact, no, because my life did blow up. I had absolutely nothing. Reputation, gone. Job, gone. Family, couldn't see them. Didn't want to leave the house. Didn't want to be seen in the grocery store. But I would go out in the mountains and pray, and I would ask for God's love. And let me tell you, God never stopped loving me, and God never stopped seeing me as God's child. And all I needed to know is who I am in God's eyes. And I didn't care what anybody else thought about me because I knew the truth. They went back to what you're saying, Stephen. When you know, other people can have the wrong idea, and you just have to be okay with that because you know the truth. So I've been so fortified in knowing who I am as God's child. That's almost weird. That's like you almost feel a little invincible. You're like, well, I mean, if I can survive this, I'm so loved. But also, I was using these tools. I was using these practices, these skills. I was using my music. I was creating. I was meditating. I was praying. And it's like I feel like I'm in such a great spot to be able to help so many people. And what I'm hoping is to even maybe get the word out there that that anybody that's gone through anything like this, like I can talk to you, have a space because we say that we're innocent until proven guilty, but actually with some things, if there's a question about it, you're guilty no matter what. Even proven innocent, nope, still guilty because of the newspapers. So it's a real interesting thing to talk about, even from a social work perspective. But anyway, I have a friend who lives in Germany, and she's like, it's illegal to print in papers what people are arrested for because they deserve a trial, they deserve to be proven guilty, and even if they are guilty, it's not big headlines. You got to search for it. This is very true to this day and age in this country right now. And so I've learned a very long list of lessons this past year. But the main one is the human spirit is so resilient, and God's love is so good.
Kyle, thank you for sharing that with us. That most people wouldn't be okay sharing that. That's actually a praise report, is what we would call that. And also, people get caught up in their testimonies because it's not for you. That's for everybody else. You were being used in this story to help others. I guarantee you somebody is going to be affected by what you just said. Thank you for sharing that. Everybody going to know that God is real, and whatever situation that you're going through, God is able to pull you out. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your vulnerability, my brother. Man, thank you for your faith, your transparency, and your courage to share that with us. And certainly know that we're praying for you, man.
Thank you.
Your faith is inspiring.
Thank you.
Professor Deans, you've heard all of these conversations, all of these moments, and I'd love to hear your perspective responding back to all of that. But at the same time, what were you hoping we were actually learning that wasn't written in the syllabus as well?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you to each of you for anything that you shared this evening, because all of it has been vulnerable, it's sensitive, it's your lived experience. And to share that is a gift with other people. But part of sharing our lived experience is to also share the pain. And so, Kyle, I just want to say to you, thank you for sharing that, because I know from what you shared, that sounds very painful to have had to endure, but you've endured it. You're here. So thank you for that. Okay. In terms of, what I would, and let me just say this too, because I think the question y'all were answering about how you've been stretched. Listen, some of the things Professor has had to navigate amongst students. My God, today.
Yeah.
Adult students at that. Yes. Some of y'all got children and y'all, your parents are, and still I have had real tears from all manner of folk, all manner of walks of life, because people, but that's okay. Part of that means growth. When there's friction sometimes, it's okay. Sometimes it leads to growth. And so I'm glad that you all have been stretched and are willing to even go back in your journey and see the stretching and see the growth through the stretching, and whatever that may have been. Beyond the syllabus, this is my thing. Book knowledge is cute. It's cute. I want you to know that stuff. I want you to know theories. I want you to know, what best practices are. And I want you to know, what scholars are saying about some of the things that we're learning. All that's important. Knowledge is key. And that's why we come together. More importantly, though, than book knowledge, I want you to be able to put it into action. I want you to be able to apply the things that you are learning in very real time.
That's right.
And to be able to apply it personally and professionally. I love that somebody said earlier that a lot of times in your classes, the different professors would say, yeah, this is the syllabus, but we're going to go over here today. We're going to talk about this. And that comes with being able to, one, as a professor, manage your class and read the room and discern. Maybe we need to focus over here today. I had a class one day. I want to be sensitive before I go here, but just know it was a very sensitive topic that was brought up. Because I'll give any trigger warnings. We're here with social workers, so we're going to talk about some things that might trigger people, trigger individuals. But I'm going to just share this. I had brought up a conversation that I'd had with someone. And this kind of goes back to the piece about taking care of yourself and pouring into you so that you're not pouring out so much that you get upset. I ain't going to pick on you, Brandi, but because the reality is you listen, we pour out so much, and when you're pouring into other people, not into yourself, then at some point you're going to break. And so you want to make sure you're doing what you need to do. Anyway, so I was having a conversation with a friend personally, but brought this conversation up in class about how this individual who had their close friend had, died by suicide, right? And had taken their own life. And so the person was just talking about how they felt so obligated, if you will, to just other people all the time because of that experience. And they felt like, I just got to be there for this person. I got to be there for that person. I got to be there for that person. I got to be there for that person because I don't want this to happen again. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm saying this with care, but we were kind of talking about the theme, if you will, of being able to care without carrying what we're not meant to carry. Yes. So I can care, I can experience grief, and I can, know that's a very real experience. But I don't want it to make me feel like I got to be there for everybody else to the point that I can't, to the detriment of myself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because I'm kind of, in a way, I'm kind of accepting responsibility for something that was beyond my control. Does that make sense? But in that class, I didn't know that the conversation was going to go this way. I had like 2 students, a very small class, that said, hey, Professor, I'm actually glad we're talking about this, but I ain't going to turn my camera off. My brother actually died by suicide. Then I had another student say, man, I thank you so much for saying that, my brother actually died by suicide. It was just amazing that I'm not saying the topic was easy to talk about, but there was a level of support and care in the virtual room for one another. But that was not on the syllabus, is what I'm saying. That's the point I'm getting back to. It was not on the syllabus. And so, but that requires a level of sensitivity and discernment, and all the things. I would want you all to be able to have those skills to where you can discern when it's time to go off script, or when you need to, but still applying the professional skills. Now, I'm not telling you to go, but being able to put these things that we talk about into applicable, practice, and not just knowing the book knowledge, And so, that would be kind of what I would want for you all. I hope that answers the question. I know they got deep real quick, and y'all know how we get though in these things. But yeah, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. Okay.
I love how you can care without carrying more than you need to carry, because that's such a great word for all people doing anything in the social work, any type of helping profession. That is so huge, because you're no good eventually if you get so bogged down with everybody else's stuff.
You won't be any good.
Kyle, we can apply that to family life as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Personal life, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep everybody all night, so I'm going to start trying to wind it up and wrap things up. So, growth. You touched on growth. And it's often described as like an individual accomplishment. My degree, my journey, my success. But as we're having this conversation, what I'm hearing so much of is not just the individual stories, but I'm hearing people who challenged us, people who encouraged us, people who helped to carry us, people who believed in us, and people who probably have no idea specifically how much they influenced our lives. So I'd like to make this one a little bit more personal, a little bit more direct. And the question, I guess, that I'm asking is, has there been someone whose presence changed your Howard experience in a way that they may never have realized? And if they're sitting in here tonight, tell them. I'll start. Brandi, you kind of came around, and I think I had a class with you, and I think the first class I went through, we didn't really, I think we just kind of like said, what's up? And I, throughout at least the first half of my MSW experience, I held tightly to my introvert. I would speak when I needed to speak. But probably one of the reasons why I wasn't in the group chats was because I was holding tightly to my introvert, and I was trying to live, I was doing life, but I was just holding tightly to my introvert. And for whatever reason, you didn't let me. And I think that you helped to break that shell. And then I began to build relationships with Denzel's and Bree and then Steven, and even had some conversations with Kyle before we actually got a chance to. By the time we got to graduation, it was family for everybody, even though I wasn't on the group chats. So I think that you helped to do that for me, and that opened up a lot for me, personally, socially, professionally, and that's continued. So I want to say thank you.
Oh, that was all you. I just gave you a little push. Let's go. Go get out there. Hey, you fine. Go ahead. That was all you. You did the work, right? But yeah.
Well, I'll go. I would like to thank Denzel, because you just have been so friendly, man, from day one. I felt like, even when I was just first meeting you and talking to you, I felt like it was almost like we'd already been friends somehow. and that, you know, you continue to be there for me, and even today I appreciated you. You know, in our conversation earlier today, just reminded me to keep reaching out whenever. And I have to do a shout out too for Kristen, Tatiana, and Chelsea, because the four of us, we bonded early on and had a lot of the same classes, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them.
Chelsea was supposed to be on this episode. She couldn't make it because she had another obligation that was going to conflict with our time. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we'll tell her to watch the soak, so she got a shout out.
We'll do.
Thank you for that, Cal.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
I'm curious, how often do we actually get a chance to tell people these type of things while they're still able to hear them? As I told you before the show started, I'm dealing with some family issues. I have had the opportunity to sit next to my father in the hospital bed and have conversations that we haven't been able to have for many years, right? Many decades, actually. Some words have been said that I may have never, I knew they were there, but I never thought that I'd get a chance to really hear them. And it's been a process. So I have always been one, at least since I was about 25, at least 26. Something happened in my life that allowed me to say, I'm going to value people as they exist in my life. But I think now it just means so much more to be able to tell them. Professor, what's it like listening to your former students affirm one another like this?
Oh my goodness. Like I said earlier, it's like genuinely my heart is just like fireworks. It is, it makes me thankful. It makes me experience gratitude to God for allowing me to have any portion of time in any of your lived experiences and your learning, journeys. Because to see you now after being, Howard prepared and just supporting each other the way that you are, pouring into each other. I mean, doing life together. That's what y'all are doing right now. You are actually doing life together. What's beautiful about this to me, though, is you all were not in person. You all were not in person, but you were still able to build relationships, real authentic relationships with one another that are lasting. Yeah. And so it's really just made me thankful, grateful to God, but also to each of you. Whether you took me or not, because still sitting here seeing you all as former students of the program and now where you are is just genuinely just so heartwarming and fulfilling. And it affirms me in my purpose. It affirms me in the fact that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing because I get to see this. So thank you for having me and allowing me to witness this and experience this because it's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. Last thing, I promise. We carry pieces of the people who shaped us into our families, into our work, into our friendships, into our communities. Maybe the final question shouldn't be what did Howard give us, but maybe it should be what do we now owe?
Because a lot of money.
That's too much play.
A lot of money.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jesus paid it all. They're not getting that back.
That's too much playing. I literally was saying not a debt. I was literally saying not a debt, but I was speaking specifically about responsibility. Because, to whom much is given, shy. Much is
right now.
Much is required. So how's this experience changed the way you show up for other people? How has this experience changed the way you show up for other people since being a professor at Howard, and just the interactions that you've had, all of this? How has it changed the way you show up?
Man, I would go back to when I was a student,
Mhm.
you know, and I get bachelor's and master's, right, in social work. And it makes you, this is why I'm a professor now, because it's like, it is a way to pay it forward. And I'm also active in the field, right? I mean, on the macro side. But this has shaped me in so many ways. It has stretched me, believe it or not. We don't come into this as professors knowing it all. We have been growing with you all. Just so y'all know that we are human, just like y'all. We experience life just like y'all. And you know, I give grace because it's been extended to me, right? And I mean, even from students, there was a portion of my trajectory as a professor. I don't know, Anthony, if you were in my class during this time, or Breyona, whenever, but I experienced a fire to my apartment with just me and my son. I had experienced miscarriage, different things. It was a lot happening, and there was a couple of classes where I had to be like to apologize, you know, to my students, because I just couldn't be as present as I wanted to, or maybe missed a couple of classes, and just receiving that grace as well, because we have life too. And so being able to just extend grace and realize that people are human, not robots. And so it just makes you, you know, in this experience, it's, I tell people all the time, I'm like, yes, I'm a professor, I'm a teacher, but we actually be for real doing social work for the students too, because y'all be having some life. The after, can I stay after, Professor? Them conversations, I'm saying, well, them conversations,
I remember.
when I get asked that.
I remember. I was one of them.
Yes. Can I stay after and talk to you, Professor? Sure. I never know what's gonna come my way. And when I say it's been some stuff, it's been some stuff. But it makes, again, you realize that people are, here it is, people are trying to progress. People are trying to become the best versions of themselves, but they're experiencing life. Brandi, like you said earlier, life don't stop. It don't stop. And so it's made me, again, want to extend grace, because I'm seeing you all, you know, put all this work in, you're doing what you need to do, but then I'm also seeing you experience life. And so in other spaces, it makes me want to give grace to other people and hope that people will give it to me too. Yeah.
I love that you use the word grace, because to me, I just think that is the vehicle of our growth, right? Another chance to keep going, another chance to just, you know, wipe the slate clean. It's a new day, you know, and we're still here. And I believe that we are blessed to be a blessing, and that's how God works. You know, God blesses people in order to bless all the people. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, and that's why I still am so fired up about this work. To the ways that I want to show up now is based on what I've received is unlimited positive regard, belonging, acceptance, and challenge. You know, call out, but real. Just be real, be honest, see it, call it as it is, and love people.
Kyle, I call that courageous conversation. We got to have those courageous conversations. We can call one another out in love.
That's right.
There's a difference between just calling somebody out, that's it, versus doing it with care, respect, dignity, and still seeing them as a very real human.
Breyona, anything?
I mean, yeah, I think what y'all both said was so beautifully said. And just thinking about, you know, I work with teens now, middle schoolers, high schoolers, and some college students. And it's so important to be able to just show up as yourself. That's what they identify with, right? In so many spaces where they're being told what to do, they're being told they can't have feelings, they're being told they can't be depressed, and this should not be, you know, important to them. And so, learning what I've learned, through my Howard experience, it's changed the way I show up for them because, like what you said, like, they're human, right? With real feelings, with real things that they're going through. So having more empathy for them, being able to create a safe space for them to share their perspective, even if it's things, because I have some students come in like, Mr. Bree, I don't know if I can tell you this. And I'm like, girl, go ahead and say what you got to say. And they'll share it. I'm like, yeah, and this is not a space that you're going to be judged in. This is not a space that I'm going to be like, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. I'm literally just here to be a sounding board and to support you and, help you the best way that I can. And I think that has made all the difference in the work that I'm doing now. And I'm honestly just feel so honored to be able to do it. And to have learned from all of you and the professors that we had, and just life, because life is the biggest teacher. And so to be able to take those lessons and, for us to continue to be remarkable in a field that, doesn't have too many of us. And I'm loving that we're growing in the field that we're in. So, yeah.
When we started the podcast, I thought our job was simply to have meaningful conversations. Tonight reminded me that our responsibility is actually much bigger than that. One of the things I'm learning as I get older is that the greatest moments in my life haven't happened because I had all of the answers. They happened because someone chose to walk beside me while I was still figuring them out. And that's what we've been talking about. We've talked about community. We've talked about being alongside each other and having a place where we feel safe to create spaces, to be seen, where people can feel heard, and where people leave believing, having hope. And I think that growth is something we do together. So I don't think that's just what Howard gave us. I think that's what we're hoping that Symbiosis becomes. Mm-hmm. So thank you, each one of you, for helping us continue that journey.
Absolutely.
Tell you what,
yes, sir.
I hate to interrupt.
No.
Symbiosis. Tonight has been so beautiful. It really has. This episode, it's just been beautiful. We got my brother Cal here. Cal, it's been so good to be with you and share this space with you. My two girls, my two sisters, Brandi and Breyona, thank y'all for joining us. Professor, I regret that I did not get the opportunity to take one of your courses, but it has been a pleasure having you share this space with us this evening. You have a beautiful soul, and there's something about you that just shines. So it has been a pleasure sharing this space with you. So I just wanted to thank everybody for just being here. And this episode, it has meant a lot to me. We went to church. We heard testimonies from Kyle and praise reports from Ant. And hey, man, we just look. I'm feeling real good right now.
Yeah.
You could tell by the way you said, "Hey, man." That was Deacon Thompson right there. That was Deacon Thompson.
He just ready for the benediction. He just ready for the benediction. Don't let him.
Let me do one last thing though for you though. Grab one word. What's sustaining you? For me, it's family. This week, what's sustaining you?
Community.
Love.
Faith.
Mm.
Wisdom.
Understanding. But I need. Can I just have a couple words?
Go ahead, Stephen. You the co-host. You can.
This week, or maybe it was last week, I did get a chance to share with you guys, but in the demo group, we spoke about some of the relationship that I had with my father and how I felt like, my father didn't love me or whatever. We had a chance to actually sit down maybe a week or two ago, sat down for hours and just talked. And I heard my father tell me that he was proud of me and he loved me and he was proud of the man that I was.
Wow.
And he sees everything that I've been doing. Since that day, it's like it's been, I can't even describe it, because that's been something. I've always been that little kid on the sidewalk waiting for his daddy to come holler at him, you know? And now that I've heard that, y'all, I've been on cloud 9, like extra.
So was anybody else in that demo group with us? Nobody? Brandi? No. Oh my God. Bro. Yeah. For me to hear that, that means so much. That's like
another praise report, another testimony. Stephen, that's beautiful, bro. I'm so
happy.
so
understanding, and I was able to listen. He listened to me and saw where I was coming from, and I listened to him and saw where he was coming from, and we had a moment of understanding, and not just to respond.
That's good.
So we was able to kind of sit in it and realize that we loved each other. We just couldn't communicate it right.
Listen here.
So yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You ain't trying to do no crying out. Jesus, right. That's Steve-O, man. That's beautiful, bro.
Yes, I've been pretty excited about that.
That's great. That's
love it. Love it, man.
Brandi, your word.
I forgot the question.
What's sustaining you, love?
Unconditional love. I know that's 2, but unconditional love. And I know I already talked about my husband, but my husband has seen me at so many different phases. We've been together since we were teens, right? So he has seen there, and he's been sticking it out, supporting me through all the, like, I am not the woman I was when we first got married. We've been married 9 years now. So I have changed in so many ways. It has kind of forced him to self-reflect and change as well. And he's been rising up. He's been doing it. He's loved me through it all, through every phase. Because some phase I was like, boy, if I was you, I would have left me. But hey, I'm glad you didn't, baby. Love you. Thank you. So it's that unconditional love, that grace, so I am truly, truly grateful to have that through each phase, each season. It definitely keeps me grounded in more ways than I think he even realizes. So yeah, that unconditional love.
I'm going to echo your sentiments, Denzel. This episode has been remarkable. I just want to say to each one of you, thank you again. Thank you, each one. I know you can't see me looking at you in your eyes, but I'm looking at you with so much love.
Thank y'all for hosting this and
Thank you so much.
For getting us together, for inviting us. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Professor Deans, Brandi, Kyle, Breyona, thank you again for trusting us with your stories. As always,
yes, sir.
My bros.
Yes, sir.
My bros. Thank you for continuing this journey with me. I can't tell you how much of the honor it is to call you gentlemen and scholars, friends and colleagues, especially with this week's challenges. I truly appreciate you guys, seriously. To everyone who's been watching or listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If tonight reminded you of someone who quietly changed your life, don't wait. Tell them. Reach out, make the call, write the email. Let them know while they can still hear it. Until next time, keep growing, keep listening, keep showing up for one another, and we'll see you on the next episode of Symbiosis. You got to get on up now.